Good Friday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine YouTube channel that talks about my cars and trucks and SUVs and motorcycles and trailers and dogs and the state of times. And hey, good morning there. Thanks for tuning in to my channel this morning, and appreciate anybody that's new to listen to my thoughts and views and ideas this morning. And wow, it's Friday. Jesus Christ, what a stressful week. I have had an incredible stressful week. Who hasn't had that in life? Who in life doesn't have stress? Yeah, if you just look at me in my life, the crazy guy that buys cars all the damn time, that just adds more stress to me in the end because I have more financial obligations. I mean, how stupid can you be, right? Yeah, right. The car addictions. The addictions of life. What does it do to you besides stress you out? But oh my gosh. Oh, the stress. And if you're following my channel or watching my channel, you'll see how yesterday was a stressful day. The birds are stressing me out because they're crapping on everything that I own. And just hoping the little baby birds eventually grow up and fly away. And then they'll just kind of simmer down. And come on, pups! And it's the same routine. Getting the dogs in. Come on, Ginger! Come on, Will. Yeah, it's the same routine. Here you are. So, Willow, okay, good, Willow. Hey, you guys were just out like 15 minutes ago. It just blows me away that these dogs. All right, the Jeep is so crazy in how this Jeep Gladiator. Did I have my eyes on this vehicle? I did not. I really did not. But this vehicle really has become my favorite work vehicle. This thing is just so great. I just can't get over how I bought this. Well, I kind of bought it for my daughter to kind of work out of, but me too. But for me, it's like, wow. It's just a really great thing. Hey, the car covers are definitely helping keep my stuff cleaner. So come on, pups. Let's get up here in the office and get the Friday morning conversations going. And you're hearing the word stress. And what's kind of interesting here is that yesterday I was going to talk about tires. I was going to talk about the tire technology that's going on more than ever, even unbeknownst to me, that these electric vehicles require a special tire. Even for me, I have a hard time believing that. So meaning that Ford Lightning truck over there, that truck requires a different tire than, I guess, my Ford Power Boost. But even for me, I'm like, is this just like a sales pitch to spend more money for a tire? So, yeah, so what I was going to talk about is tires, because tires are such a key component of, the foundation of your car, but we all just take for granted your tires. And I read a great article about the technology they're trying to advance in tires to help the autonomous vehicles. Does a tire take a lot of stress on your car? Yeah. I mean, God dang it. So this is such classic. I was just going to my refrigerator to get a water bottle, and I got distracted, and I forgot to grab the water bottle. Who doesn't have these things? Just too much stress. Yeah, thank God the banking thing got resolved yesterday. Yesterday afternoon, the bank definitely reversed that person or whatever mistake happened. They reversed it. Thank goodness for that. It's kind of cool up here. I mean, it really is cold. It's just a typical mid-Atlantic area here. And get the morning going. I kind of got my seat cranked back up, so I'm not sitting on the floor as much as it probably will deflate itself. As I get the camera set up there, get my heater on. It's the routine. And so this morning I have to think to myself, stress. How do you manage your stress? I mean, for everybody here, watch my channel, we're all on the same page in life. It's so challenging and stressful in different stages of our life. I mean, it just seems like this 2023 for me, what a stressful year. I've just had so many things happen that just are really, it's one of those years, you ever have one of those years, you're just like, man, I just want to get out of this year. It's just one of those, like, bad luck years. Yeah, I'm sure everybody here watching my channel can relate with exactly that. You just have had these just incredibly terrible years. So, not drinking my coffee. That coffee just really does get my GERD going. And so, like yesterday, I drank no coffee. And like my coughing, I like barely coughed all day long. I start drinking that coffee, and it's just whatever, it's those beans or whatever it is, and that stuff just really gets me hacking and coughing. And it's really embarrassing. My daughter, who's been hacking and coughing, talking about stressful, for this past week, first part of the week, last week, my kid has just really been not in good health. Just coughing and hacking like you can't believe. And so we've got a handle on it, but at the same time, I've lost, one of my helpers in my business. So, it's more than ever that, I'm here running a company that requires my, just constant attention, and it's very labor intensive. It really is. And one thing for sure, keeps you, fit, keeps you in some ways youthful because you're so active. But it's stressful too. And the stressful part of my business is living on the roads. And it's been part of my life. It's really incredible. 1985. Yesterday, I was coming back in late yesterday afternoon, and I was driving from Maryland over the Woodrow Wilson Bridge into Virginia. And I tell you what, I was like, wow, it's hard to believe that 38 years ago, close to 40 years ago, I was just a kid. I was driving in that same area, driving a fuel tank or a tanker truck or a maintenance truck. And I just thought it's just incredible how, for me, I have lived around the Beltway now for 38 years. And even back in the 80s, 1985, that's when I officially started driving around the Beltway, it was stressful, especially driving those big tanker trucks. Your biggest concern always was, boy, if you ever get in a bad crash, do you burn up? It's the joke of you're the death jockey. Not the horse jockey, you're the death jockey. And sadly, I've witnessed over the years in this Beltway area of guys driving these tanker trucks that have burned up and died, that have crashed these trucks. What's interesting is the trucks per se are more dangerous when they're empty versus when they have fuel in them, because it's the fumes. Liquid, if you go up to gasoline, anybody knows, you throw gasoline in a fire, it won't start. But then you give it a little time and it blows up. So, you go try to light that piece of wood with gas on it doesn't work. It's the fumes, it's the vapors that ignite. That's what makes your car run. So, stress for us, stress in the car industry, doesn't it seem like as time progresses that the stress of driving cars would be less? And because of all the safety and all the technology, the hands-free driving, the adaptive cruise control, there's so many things, all the technology in the cars. And in some aspects, yes, but in some other aspects, not so much, because you're still behind the wheel of a car. You're still in and around people. And isn't that what kind of makes things stressful when you drive your car? Is when you're around lots of cars. Who doesn't just love getting away from the traffic and getting up the back roads and enjoying your car where nobody's behind you and nobody's in front of you? That's the greatest thing you can do, driving your car, especially one of your favorite cars or motorcycle or whatever it may be, is just that stress-free environment. And that's what I try to do when I ride my motorcycles. I try to ride them up in the back roads where there just isn't much traffic. And if you watch my videos, a lot of my videos show how there's just not really going to be out in those roads that we ride. And it's just a little bit more of peace of mind because you just don't have somebody bugging you that's behind you or in front of you. And that's what it turns into. They start bugging you because they're tailgating you, or you're not going fast enough, or the person in front of you isn't going fast enough and you're tailgating them. But it's stress related. And especially out here in the DC metro area, drive around these beltways, anybody else is in a major metropolis area, they're in the same ballgame. But once again, you would think with today's technology's cars, they so want to go to self-autonomous driving cars. That's why I was wanting to talk about the tires. That get this. they're working diligently on making tires smart tires, meaning they're trying to put microchips or sensors or whatever you want to call it into the manufacturing of tires to interact and communicate with the autonomous vehicle so that it gives the autonomous vehicle real-time data of what type of road it's on. So meaning that if you're driving on the road and you're on pavement, but all of a sudden it goes to a dirt road or gravel, or you're driving down the road and now it's raining versus it's a dry pavement, or it's snow, or what's the temperature of the road surface. So yeah, pretty cool that they're trying to take these tires and make them the communicator with the car of what the environment is. Which, wow. And I mean, they're adamantly working on this to bring this technology so that autonomous vehicles will even be, I guess, safer, better. It really is incredible. But if you watch some of these Tesla, I watched this video the other day of the safest cars in the world. It's pretty incredible. They show these different cars that have a pedestrian going through an intersection, walking, or a cyclist, or one with a baby stroller. So they do a stage type of crash, and all the cars, for the most part, hit the pedestrian. Even with all the cameras, the hands-free driving, or the adaptive cruise control, all the sensors, Tesla is the only one that doesn't hit the person per se. Yeah. So Tesla right now technically has one of the safest vehicles in the world for, avoidance of pedestrians over the others. I'm not here to say that Tesla won't hit a person, but in that staged event, it outdid every other manufacturer, which that's pretty incredible. And then if you're on Twitter and you watch some of these Tesla videos, you'll see a Tesla video of a person in the car, hands-free, and that car literally will drive itself out of the driveway up to the stop sign and make a left or right turn and go up the road. I mean, it drives itself the whole, a whole distance or wherever point A to point B is, and it recognizes the stop signs and intersections and the streets and people and the cars. I mean, it's pretty incredible. So there's no doubt, Elon Musk by far definitely is right on that edge of his totally autonomous vehicle. And that's what I talked about the other days. That's why he wants this generative pre-trained transformer, the AI technology, because he wants to incorporate this into his cars that will for sure, no doubt, make these things the living human in so many aspects. Just incredible. So, the stress test. So there's the thing. The stress test on these cars for the autonomous driving, I think most people here watching my channel be like, it's not feasible. The real reality of the real world stress test in these cars, it just isn't realistic. But at the same time, you have to say to yourself, how many car crashes are there a year in this country, and how many people die in cars? It's like a 40+ thousand deaths per year. Interestingly enough, motorcycle deaths are up the highest in like 20+ years. And what's incredible for me is one of the highest reasons of motorcycle deaths is alcohol or substance in their body. I think I've always heard people doing these rallies, and these people go from bar to bar riding motorcycles. I'm just thinking, man, I don't know, man. When you ride a motorcycle, if you just really aren't in the right state of mind, I just can't see it. I'm sure there's some hardcore bikers out there, guys, like, yeah, you're just a wimp. You can drink and ride a motorcycle. Yeah. Well, anyways, really what I'm sharing with you is information I read, which I was kind of surprised, is that one of the highest rates of deaths on motorcycles is alcohol or substance
reasons in the body. And then there's others, of course, no visibility, speed. So, yeah, I mean, why are you drinking, riding your motorcycle? Are you stressed out? Yeah, it makes you more relaxed. That's for sure. Yeah, relaxed to go to sleep forever. So, once again, I'm just thinking to myself, the stress, in the automotive industry, for us individuals, what stresses us out with these cars when they're supposed to give us so much fun and love, which they do, but in so many other aspects, they stress us out. And you can look at the first thing that stresses you out is having to make a financial decision to buy a car that you question makes any sense. And you question if it's worth the cents, 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 to afford the car, and you're going to get that satisfaction out of owning that car. And was it really worth all that money? And more than ever, it's just incredible how we all have witnessed just in the last 3 years, the price of cars and the amount of money you need to own a car is just gone, is the most expensive ever, period, ever. It's the most expensive times ever to own a vehicle. But yet, vehicle sales have been gone through the roof. And people paying premium money for cars has gone through the roof. But it stresses you out because as an individual, you buy that car. Who doesn't go buy a new car, used car, whatever it may be? It's a financial obligation. And after you buy that car, before you buy the car, you're stressed. It's stressful going through the whole negotiation process, getting the car, making sure it's what you want. You bring it home. You go to bed. You're laying in bed at night. You're wondering if that was really the right decision because now you've got another financial obligation. And then you get the car, and then the worst case scenario is something's wrong with the car, or you're stressed because somebody's going to ding it or scratch it, or you're going to get a car crash. I mean, so you're stressed. The cars, in so many aspects, even though the love and joy and happiness we get out of them, so many of these vehicles stress us out. You take it to the dealer because there's something wrong with it, and you may have to pay a big bill. Here's a story. A guy that bought a Hellcat Jailbreak Edition, he claims he's been called out. He claims that his $36,000 rebuild the motor isn't fair. So apparently some guy has gone public about his brand new Jailbreak, number 7 cylinder, doesn't have any compression, and he's got a motor issue, and the dealer's claiming that he's modded the car. He tampered with the PCM, the computer module to runs the car, that he did a tune on it. And the guy's like, no, that's all false. But the dealership's position is they can see through the codes and reading everything that he tampered with the technology of the car. So Tim Knuskis actually is involved in this, and other key engineers, and they're calling this guy out and saying, we're not paying for the motor that you ruined because you did it. We didn't do it. You did it. So it's a big argument, blowout. Where does it go? And in the end, does Dodge cave and just give the guy a new motor and say la vie? But at the same time, you think that guy's stressed out a little bit right now? I mean, think that through. You tune your brand new Hellcat, and then you screw it up. I mean, wow. And now you need $36,000 to put a new motor in it? Wow. Yeah, I mean, wow. Just start calling the junkyards. I mean, I guess, right? So anyways, and this isn't really a laughing matter for the guy that's going through that. I get all that. So just in the car side, most here will definitely relate with the stress of owning vehicles. Insurance, if you get a speeding ticket, it's possible that over time your insurance will reflect that mistake. The stress of obeying the laws on the road, and you're stressed if a police officer pulls you over, and you're more stressed like I was in 2018, and I got pulled over really bad in my Ford Raptor truck, which was basically a criminal conviction of here in the state of Virginia. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's beyond unbelievable what happens to you when you get a reckless driving charge. It gets radical stuff. So yeah, was I stressed out for that for the first part of the year? Got that like in January 5th or 6th of 2018, and it wasn't until April that I got that resolved to let that stress go, because for me, the insurance premiums go up on one of my cars, it goes up on all my cars. And that could be huge. That's the difference in me not even own cars anymore. So now I think to myself, when you kind of take the car factor out of where we are today, does it seem like more than ever we're stressed more than ever? We're stressed financially because of the higher costs for everything around us. I mean that's happened. I mean, there's no secret to that. Everybody knows that you're paying more for everything, so you're stressed more than ever on your financial capabilities to continue to afford what you used to be able to afford that maybe is not so much you can afford, or what you used to do, not so much you do anymore because of the stress of the finances for the cost of doing things. And I think the stress for us in society, that we're more than ever, the social media and the governing bodies are pushing more than ever change that I think many don't feel is the right change. And in some aspects, you're being stressed to change your views and ideology to appease others that you feel is so wrong, but then you're called out, and you're the problem, and they're the victim. I mean, wow. I mean, more than ever, who isn't feeling stressed about that? I mean, if you have any young children in schools these days, are you stressed about what you feel is going on in the public education sector more than ever today? That possibly your child is being taught things that you don't think it's appropriate, but yet if you're the parent that wants to challenge this, you're stressed because many may think that you're the person that doesn't look at things correctly, and you're just a very closed-minded person. So I think more than ever in our society, we're at an incredible level of stress because of the change that is being, in so many ways, borderline forced upon us, that so many feel is so wrong. And then you look at the use of narcotics, fentanyl, you look at what's going on, that stuff's going through the roof. Why? Because people are stressed out. I mean, it's obvious that people resort to drugs when they're stressed out. Marijuana use is through the roof. I'm sure alcohol addictions. Homeless people. Why are people homeless? The stress of life. I mean, it's a no-brainer. I'm in the streets. You have no idea how many homeless people I see, how many people I run into, and yeah, I have helped people out. I have. I bought a lady lunch the other day that you could just tell she just wasn't right. I've given people money that you just can tell it isn't about them. It's a mental disorder. It isn't them playing a game. They have mental challenges. They're stressed in life. They're so stressed in life they gave up. That's why they're homeless. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, if you could start hearing the stories of these homeless people, you would run across these incredibly intelligent, at one time probably very, successful individual that you never would have thought that as they got older, they just totally lost it. And the stress took them to the streets. And now they're saying that if you're a young person and smoke marijuana on a heavy per se use, you're going to have mental challenges. You're going to be, you're not going to be right. They're saying more than ever that if you're a younger person and you regularly smoke marijuana, this is going to affect your mind and who you are, and you just really won't live in real time of reality of what's going on around you. And I know for a fact that I know people that have had seizures from smoking marijuana. And what I wonder about that is it because it slows down your blood flow rate? I've never thought of that before, but like I've talked about Advil, the ibuprofen, or however you pronounce that product, because it's a generic product, unless it's Advil, which is the most dominant product. But that product slows down the blood flow in your heart your heart has to work harder to move the blood flow because it intentionally slows down the blood flow in your body for the inflammation. So it's anti-inflammation of you have a cut or sore, and so when you have regular blood pressure, it makes that your injury sore. But by slowing down the blood flow rate and pressure, it doesn't make it as sore. But at the same time, that's what makes your heart work harder because of the slower rate of blood flow through your heart. But your heart wants a higher. So that's why it says right in the Advil bottle, I've talked about it before, long-term use, you will have a stroke. And so I think to myself, does marijuana slow down your blood pressure, your blood flow? I have no idea. I mean, I just thought of that the other day, actually, because I thought, what makes people have like seizures that smoke pot? And don't get me wrong. It's a no-brainer. People that drink alcohol, I'm not here to beat up the cannabis. I'm just sharing information because, whatever. I mean, people drink alcohol and become alcoholics, lose their liver and kidney, and the list goes on and on and on. So I'm no fool to that. But I'm just saying in general, it's good to have information if you're a younger person to know that, hey, even all your friends are smoking pot all the time, maybe you don't want to smoke pot much. Maybe you're doing it just on your party day, but if you're doing it every day, all day, you're not going to be right. As years progress, you're not going to be in touch with reality. And that's what I talk about all the time, is more than ever in today's society, has it just turned into the pothead society. Another thing I thought about on Twitter, I'm kind of starting to weigh in and make comments on Twitter because it's just incredible to see the comments that high-profile people make. And something I said last night was, have politicians ever been subject to drug testing? I mean, sincerely. Has any politician ever been subject, while in office, to have drug tests, random drug tests? Wouldn't this be, in today's society, I think that really needs to be thought about? I mean, for our political figures that make these decisions and pass bills and laws that some of us think just makes like no sense, and you have to say to yourself, is this person in the right state of mind? I really think that for being an elected official and you're a public servant, you have to adhere to new drug testing policies. You have to be seen. We have to know if you're a person that's doing drugs regular or not. You're not fit for the job. So I think that's something that people in this country should challenge the sitting powers to be, that you have to have in businesses. I mean, truck drivers. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And small business and big business, you're subject for that type of testing, right? For the well-being of the business and everything. Here's the Dutch farmers. So you got to think to yourself, over in the EU, Netherlands, they just have passed a bill supposedly that they're going to force 3,000 Dutch farmers out of business forever. I mean, you want to read this? I think this just can't be. But it's apparently, even though Netherlands and the Dutch farmers just had a major blowout, but the Dutch gained some seats in Parliament. But here's the thing: the EU, the European Union, has just passed apparently a bill that's going to mandate that all these Dutch farmers go away. That they're going to pay them 120% value of their farm. But in those conditions, they can no longer ever farm ever again. They can't take their knowledge of farming. And this is all based on the nitrogen impact of farming in Netherlands. And the reason is because the Netherlands needs to expand their housing and infrastructure for the population. And their position is, until these farms are all shut down, we're not expanding any more growth or building in the Netherlands until the Dutch farmers are shut down because of the environmental impact that they're doing to our country. Wow. So for the Dutch farmers, they're all going to be kicked to the curb. And in the language in the EU says that they can no longer farm ever again in any EU, European Union, province. Wow. I really think more than ever today that we are in a pothead society, and I think everybody knows that the fentanyl and the other drug-related problems are, but what is driving it? It's stress. I really truly believe that more than ever we're in such social networks and social environments, and it's been around for years, nothing new. But I mean, it is what's driving more than ever the need for drugs to get through the day. And to me, it's stress. It has to be stress, that you're so stressed in life that you need an outlet to escape that stress, and which usually results in using drugs and sex, sadly, physical abuse, crime. I mean, so many things related with stress. And today, more than ever, are we now, more than ever, at the highest stress in our country in recent times, just due to so many things the last 3 years that we've witnessed play out in this country that have made it, more stressful for you as an individual. But in some ways, I think myself, doesn't the remote working give individuals less stress because they don't have to commute back and forth to work? And they've got their own environment and not having to be around others that maybe offended them when they were in the office. They just didn't like that person. But now, since they're off site, they have more of their own world and they don't have to interact with those people they don't really like. So to me, it would seem like the remote working would take a level of stress down. But at the same time, I've talked about this numerous times, are people remotely working, using substances to get them through the day that's, stress related. I mean, stress because they feel like the likes of big business guys are really hammering on how, the old age guy that's 60, 70, 80 years old, these type of people are hammering their fists that the remote working at home is not the right thing to do. Everybody should be back in the office. But then the younger generation's shaking their head like, for what? We're still accomplishing all the tasks we need to accomplish, and the list goes on and on and on. So is that stressful? And the stress on the big buildings, the big infrastructure of the real estate commercial, is it stressed out to the max, beyond max ever, per se, on average, because so many buildings don't have the workforce there anymore, and the cities don't have the tax base anymore? I mean, to me, it just isn't being talked about. These governing bodies have to be stressed to the max right now in so many of these areas where the infrastructure of the city that drove the city to be what it is has disappeared. But they just don't want to talk about it. I mean, sincerely. And to me, when are our eyes opened up to the reality that so many of our governing bodies are just stressed out to the max and they don't want to talk about it? And then, kaboom, just like the banking industry. Wasn't the banking industry from 2008 fiasco, 9, 10, wasn't that supposed to be stress tests in all these banks? But yet now, all these banks, and it's the big banks. What's interesting is the JP Morgan, apparently from comments on my YouTube channel, was buying up small banks back in the 1900s. And they were criticized for that because a lot of people thought that JP Morgan was deliberately finagling markets to enable them to buy up all the little banks. But here's what's kind of weird is, if somebody out there watching my channel wants to weigh in, I'd love to hear comments. I'm not the smartest guy of the bunch. I just like to talk, as you can tell. But is it kind of now opposite, that the big banks are all going broke instead of little guys going broke? So the 1920s, apparently, most of the rural small banks were all closing shop. But yet today, it seems like the big banks are the guys going broke and closing shop. So what's the end result in that? We know from the stock market crash that in the early 1900s, that came from just things building up over the many, many years. And I would have to assume that the small banks closing up and the infrastructure, but there's a lot more dynamics to that I'm in depth on. But what does it mean for us today on the big banks going broke? Yeah. And so many people are so stressed out about that. They're moving their monies to like gold and, asset-based things instead of the bank. And the banks are seeing their depositors take their money out. But in so many ways, I guess you could say that the rural banks are getting impacted, or smaller banks, because people are taking their money out of the smaller banks and putting it in the bigger bank. Which, does that make any sense? I mean, at the end of the day, you're putting like all your eggs in one basket. Oh my gosh. Anyways, I'll talk all day. I gotta go. I know, I get it. Hey, everybody, appreciate everybody watching my channel. Appreciate the nice comments and support. And hope everybody has a nice Friday. And I hope it's a stress-free day for you. So God bless, stay safe, and stay tuned. Have a great day.